Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. Bitcoin getting the drop deeper into our Fibonacci retracement levels. Currently holding the 786. Are we going to be able to see a little bit of a continuation up here? And if we are going to see that continuation up, where are the key levels of resistance? I want to talk about the bigger key levels of resistance as well as some of the local levels that, if broken above, could call for that bigger pump to the upside. So yeah, guys, crazy times out there. Crazy times. We were talking about, not that there was like a crazy dump to the downside. We were bouncing off our golden pocket yesterday. And obviously this is a zone between the golden pocket and the 786. I know you guys aren't looking at the chart right now, but we have dug deeper in there, guys, but it ain't over yet. We have some bullish divergences forming at that 786. I want to break that down for you guys. If you did not see the market update, you're in for quite a treat here because, oh man, it's getting sus out there, guys. It's getting pretty sus as far as price action, but hopefully we can get the bounce off this 786, get cooking to the upside. We'll see what the weekend brings, and we'll see if we can get that push up to our bigger macro key levels that will give us a clear view on if this thing wants to break out, or if the top is potentially in. Still not my base case here, guys, at least until we spend some time. The weekly candle close here on Sunday is going to be very, very important. I'll show you guys the levels to be looking at. But without further ado, guys, shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And today is a holiday, guys, or it's a holiday here at Frankie Candles headquarters. It is Mrs. Candles' birthday. So it is Mrs. Candles' birthday. I do have a short stream to do here today, guys. She sacrifices a lot of time with me, so I can spend it here with you guys. So I am going to do a little bit of a shorter stream. Or at least that's what I'm saying. I'm sure Mrs. Candles will come in and drag me out. But we are going to do a short stream. I'm going to cover all the key levels. We'll go over the altcoins very briefly, and I'll give you guys everything you need to know about going into the weekend here for the next moves on Bitcoin. So shout out to Vegas Call. What is going on? Shout out to Vegas Call. Welcome in, bro. We got Elixir in the chat. Said smash that like button. Don't forget to smash that like button if you appreciate the free content that we drop here every single weekday on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. You guys hanging in there. We will get them. Shout out to Kenny. Welcome in, bro. We got Coin Spirator in the chat. Mr. Call 20 or Mr. Cali 20. I call him Mr. Cali 20. He said, I'm here, guys. Shout out to Mr. Cali. We could start now. We got the D-Gen Stranger said, see you next year when the bottom comes in. Shout out to D-Gen. I hope the bottom comes in next year. I am rooting for that for sure. We got Base Bailey in the chat. It's happening. Jesse, one of our freshest mods. That name still has the fresh mod smell on it. Shout out to Jesse. We got Crypto Billy in the chat, dropping the Mrs. Candles hands. Short stream. We got to go the full distance. Shout out to Mr. Cali. Well, you guys know how good I am at doing short streams. I'm pretty bad at it. What is going on here with this little sideburn here, guys? I got a little bald spot here on my lackluster beard. But anyway, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the price action as Bitcoin gets a little bit of a bounce off this 786 Fibonacci retracement. Let's get into it. So here we are, guys. So yesterday, I'll just kind of go over what we looked at yesterday. Obviously, yesterday and a couple days ago, right, we were looking at this next major key level of support sitting between 107,445 and 105,119. Near our golden pocket 786, this is simply just pulled from the low all the way up to our swing high here. And, as we were bing-bonging around, if we pull up that main range here, as we were bing-bonging around here, it's like, hey, if you're looking for the move to the upside, which obviously money flow was not pointing to, at least on the 4-hour time frame, letting us know that we were very likely going to see that lower high come in for another lower low. And actually, what am I doing here? Pull it all the way to the bottom of the wick here. First kind of big area to look at was that golden pocket retracement. Of course, money flow was in the red on the 4-hour, which gives you the idea that you're going to have that lower high and a potential lower low incoming. And I am still obviously holding my short position. Stop loss in profit. Profits locked in. Yesterday, I was letting you guys know I was taking that $3,000 off the table. There, that is right there. And still up 3,200 unrealized. And I'm going to kind of walk you guys through what I'm looking at here for the next big move, right? Are we going to get a big bounce from this level? Well, at the end of the day, guys, it is that kind of, last key level of support until we're potentially going to be looking much lower for Bitcoin. And as of right now, right, we slit this low here. I did get stopped out of my long positions, unfortunately, but it is not, fully invalidated here because we did wick down below and now we are back above that 786. Technically, we are holding support. So that is some good news here, at least for the medium term, right? We have the 4-hour green dot printing earlier today. Did we get that? Yeah, 15-minute money flow did not cross over just yet, but we had that 4-hour green dot with the bullish divergence. And even if you watched the live stream yesterday, it was like, hey, we bounce off that golden pocket. It's not very common, in my opinion, right? Or at least in my experience, not really my opinion, that you come down, you tap that golden pocket to the dollar, and then you get the full rip to the upside. So we were actually anticipating a little bit bigger of a drop down here to either add to the long position or take some new ones. Just happened to be that I got stopped out here, so I'm not holding the long anymore, unfortunately. Maybe I found a retracement or an entry here locally, but we've had a really good profitable few weeks here. So took that small loss. If you guys saw the market update, I was talking about the $600 loss that I took, but obviously, up locked in with $3,500 on the short position, $3,500 on realized. So small loss versus the bigger win here, but kind of annoying, right? It's like if I did not get stopped out here, it's like, we would have been alive here, right? Would have been alive, and I would have been able to capitalize on that move up. Again, maybe I find a local entry here, maybe not. I'm not in the position yet, so I wouldn't know, but if I do take a position here, I'll try to catch it. But if not, guys, what are the chances of this being the bounce, right? The big bounce. Now, obviously, we've been covering a lot of the higher time frames, kind of just understanding where we are in the cycle, all the bearish confirmations that we have on the higher time frames, and how similar, right, it does look to kind of all the kind of situations, all the bearish signals that we had up here. And even yesterday on the live stream live, we pulled up the market cipher A here on the weekly and noticed that we have a dreaded weekly blood diamond here. Now, I'm not just looking at this blood diamond saying, oh my God, this indication just means that we're going to go down. But of course, it is on top of all those other bearish confirmations that we've been looking at. High time frame bearish divergences. We have a lot of the money flow starting to leak down here. 4 days still looks kind of trash on the higher time frames, and then the 3-day doesn't look as bad. So you do have those mixed signals on the higher time frames, but from a timing perspective, obviously we are now pretty much at the full length of the previous cycle. It doesn't mean we can't go further, but it is something to think about, right? It's like, well, hey, this cycle is now at the point where we're pretty much at the same length as the previous cycle. I measured this out on the market update and many of the live streams that we've done here recently. We have that 1-to-1 fib here on October 20th, which is actually the level that was the length of the previous cycle. So again, it doesn't mean that the top has to come in here. I just have this marked out to understand it's like, well, hey, if you start to see really bearish confirmations, it is something to be aware of. And, when we take a look at that weekly time frame, right, that weekly blood diamond, the first one, we've only had 3 weekly blood diamonds in the entire history of Bitcoin here, guys. That first one was the mark of the top, right? Not mark of the top, but it was letting us know that you were very likely going to see the continuation to the downside on top of all the money flow coming out, the bearish divergences, which we almost have all of that up here. Other than the weekly money flow coming out aggressively, we do have a lot of those bearish confirmations. I just bring them up because they're here. Doesn't mean they have to play out. Doesn't mean that I'm just mega bearish perma bear from here. I'm not saying the top is in necessarily, but you do have to keep an eye on these bearish signs to be aware of it in the time with the timing of the cycle. I was talking to the premium Discord about this, and I think we talked about it yesterday. A lot of people comparing it to the 2019 C19 wick. Or not 2020 C19 wick, and a lot of people talking about this, big liquidation wick that we saw, kind of we're in the spot chart here, so you don't see the wick, but a lot of people comparing that to 2019. from a timing perspective, it couldn't be any more different, right? Like this was obviously happening as we were coming out of the bear market where we had the halving and the entire bull market ahead of us. Here, we are seeing that big liquidation wick pretty much at all-time highs, right? Like after we put in an all-time high. Again, this doesn't mean the top has to be in, but it is just something we have to keep an eye on. We do have the bearish signals, money flow, timing-wise. You have some bullish indications as well, but I would still say that the bearish indications, at least on the chart, do still outweigh the bullish signs. But I'm going to give you the bullish opium here, guys, because it does not mean that we can't scam to the upside. I was talking to the premium Discord earlier today, when I really just kind of like sit here by myself in the studio at my desk, just kind of like no live stream, no YouTube video, just kind of sitting here at, 12 in the morning, right? Just like looking at the chart, like just genuinely doing some deep thinking, like, how is the rest of this cycle going to look? I can't ignore, right, that this time could be different, right? Now, I'm never someone that is 100% on the side of this time is different. I hate to be repetitive here, but every time someone said this time is different, they've always been wrong. At the highs, oh my God, 100K, this time is different. Golden super cycle wrecked, right? At the bottom, this time is different. Regulations hitting harder than ever. Bitcoin's dead. The dot-com bubble, it's all over. And they were expecting 3K, 8K, whatever. And what happens? The bottom comes in, the bears get wrecked, right? The bulls get wrecked, the bears get wrecked. And what is the similarity there is they're always looking for something different to play out. Now, that's not to say that something different can't play out, right? Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen here. The macroeconomic situation is very interesting, right? If they turn the money printer back on and we get the stock market to melt up, that's in my opinion, that's a pretty plausible argument to potentially see the stock market melt up alongside, and then Bitcoin would obviously follow alongside that. In my opinion, right? This is just what we see. The stock market and Bitcoin are very tightly correlated. But, I know a lot of people pay attention to the 4-year cycle and just, again, not my opinion, but from a factual standpoint, we are at that kind of like previous length, right? So it's just something I'm taking into account. I'm looking at the bearish puzzle pieces, looking at the bullish puzzle pieces, and I'm not here to make the prediction of if the top is in or not right now. Nobody has a crystal ball. But when you have the bearish signs, very similar to what we had here, weekly bearish divergences, 2-week bearish divergences, monthly bearish divergences, all that we had up here. And we obviously, on the way back down, got that blood diamond. And now we have that extra confirmation that we saw yesterday now on the chart as well. So it's another point for the bears. And again, I'm not saying that has to play out. Maybe the charts are wrong this time. I genuinely hope that. But other than looking for this time is different, it's not a lot to say that this is looking much different other than those macroeconomic factors. So it's a very difficult call up here. But what we can say is regardless of if the top is in or we're going to come up, put one more high in, the fact of the matter is we do have these bearish confirmations. Maybe this was the extent of the play out that we have here. And when we break down those lower time frames, you guys will have a better idea of what I'm looking at to indicate that, maybe it is different. Maybe we are going for all-time highs. There's very specific things I'll be looking for. But very difficult time in the market right now, guys. I know it's like an absolute war out there. If the top is in, super cycle, what the heck is going to happen? And this is just my prior experience, right? I am very hesitant for the this time is different situation because I've just seen them be wrong every single time. But as these cycles continue, every cycle that goes by, every time there's something different, it becomes more and more likely that eventually the this time is different people will eventually be right, in my opinion, right? The higher that market cap goes, the more big money we get into this market, it's just naturally going to change the behavior of the asset, based off market cap and just as the asset matures, it's going to change over time just naturally. So I'm not here to call the top. I'm not here to say new all-time highs instantly incoming, but what I am here to tell you is we do have the bearish confirmations, and I will show you where I will be expecting all-time highs if we're going to see that fake out. So there we go. Just a quick little overview on the higher time frames, but if we come down a little bit lower time frame here, you guys can see, obviously, we are coming down to the golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement that we looked at earlier in the week. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? I'm going to have to unhide the TA here. That'll work. So there we go, right? So we're coming down to the golden pocket 786. Again, unfortunately, stopped out of that long position. Otherwise, I'd be holding it. But this is still support, right? This is that critical level of support. We want to hold on top of this 786. And there's a lot of key levels above us that if we can close the weekly candles above, it could look good for at least, right? Hopefully a scam out, all the indicators flip back bullish, and we can go into all-time highs. I hope that's the case. And I'm going to talk to you about what we kind of have to see for that to happen. But I want to talk about the key levels that if we close above, can at least give us some kind of a significant retracement to the upside, even if it isn't to all-time highs. Of course, we have these these key levels up here. But we'll talk about kind of what I'll be looking at on the way up. So let's get into it, right? So with the 786 here, if we lose this level, guys, again, right, when we take a look at the higher time frames, obviously we have that 50-week moving average, which obviously is a big thing that a lot of people like to look at to indicate, right, like significant, breaks into potentially warning that the bear market is incoming, right? So this is a huge level. This is obviously acted as support. I'll take off these Heikin-Ashi spider lines really quickly. But you can see, right, 50-week moving average. We get above it finally out of the bear market. We hold it as support. Boom, right? Bull market commence. Oh my God, big correction, 30% correction or so, right? Holds on the 50-week. We wick below it, but we're able to hold on top of it, and we continue up for a new all-time high. And if you guys watch the channel, you will know back here, I was not in the camp that this was the all-time high. That would be absolutely dirty work on Bitcoin to put in a 7% all-time high and then go into a bear market. But pretty easy. I don't want to say easy, but it was a little easier to make that call back here because we had plenty of time in the cycle to look for that continuation up. Let me pull back up the cycle chart, right? We had plenty of time to continue up through the cycle, all that good stuff. It was before the halving, right? So like for the all-time high to put a 7% all-time high in before the halving and then just see it nuke into a bear market would have really made no sense to me. So pretty easy call there. I would just view that as like a 30% bull market correction. We looked for all-time highs. We got it. Same thing here. About a 30% correction in the bull market. Again, not super uncommon, but we still had some time in the market. We had the rate cuts coming. So another reason why I was looking for higher lows and higher highs here into new all-time highs. And we have now seen that play out. And, you might be asking yourself, well, like, hey, this isn't even someone in the premium Discord was saying like, pullbacks like this are common in a bull market. Absolutely. And maybe this is, even if we come down lower, maybe it is just going to be something like a 30% correction before another continuation up. But the difference here and the reason why it's not as easy for me to just say like, hey guys, no worries, right? No worries. We're just going to bounce off this Fibonacci retracement and look for all-time highs like we did here and here to break that structure to the upside, right? The reason it's harder up here is just because of the timing of the cycles. Now, I don't just put all my weight on the timing of the cycles. I'm fully aware that we might not be in the same situation as prior cycles, and that macroeconomic situation, the money printer, all this stuff can change, right? So, or change the cycle rather. So it's not that I'm saying that it has to follow the 4-year cycle, but, when this is repeated so closely so many times, it's definitely not something you want to ignore. And that's why it's a little harder for me to say like, oh, no worries, guys. It's just a 30%, and not that it's a 30% correction just yet. But the reason why it's not as easy for me to be like, oh, don't worry, it's just a correction. I'm still looking for new all-time highs. This is definitely a scenario we can see play out, and I'll talk about that, potential targets to the upside. But with where we are in the cycle, it's a little bit harder to feel super, super confident about that. And it's not just that, right? It's also the fact that we have some of our money flow on the higher time frame starting to leak out. Again, the massive bearish divergences this late in the cycle, just something you have to pay attention to. But obviously, it's not all doom and gloom, right? If we can hold on top of this key level of support, let me get rid of these brushes. If we can hold on top of this key level, right, this is definitely going to be like the biggest level to be looking at right now. If we break below that 786, guys, we start to mess around with some really, really important levels. Because if we come back down below that 786, your 50-week moving average is sitting just underneath that. And if we do wind up coming back down there, maybe to fill this wick in full, come tap that 50-week moving average, at that point, right, like we're starting to get in the danger zone. Now, again, I would be okay with like slight wicks below or even taps of this level to get the bigger continuation up. But once we start closing weekly candles below this, by the way, it is coming in right now at about $101,776. If we wind up losing that and closing weekly candles underneath that, well, typically it is a very bearish sign, right? But back in this cycle, we got, it's not even, you close the weekly candle below here, right? Every other time you wick below it, close above. You wick below it, I guess he almost closed above it, below it there. He kind of like half and half, closed above it and below it. But then here, you start closing those weekly candles. It's like, yikes, break down below, bearish retest. Once you're underneath this 50-week moving average, it becomes major, major resistance. And last time, it was a retracement for a lower high and a lower low. And it wasn't just that 50-week moving average. It was also the fact that you had your high time frame money flow coming out, especially on the weekly, crosses into the red. This indicates the bear market every single time. This time is a little different, right? Weekly money flow is not coming out, at least as of right now, very aggressively. So that is, somewhat decent to see. You could see this potentially come back to the upside, but you have the blood diamond, you have the divergences, etc. And if you can see here, it's not like this weekly money flow crosses over at the top, right? It's after you get the move down and money flow has time to come out. So we probably won't see that weekly money flow crossover until we get a much bigger drop to the downside. Doesn't mean that the top can't be in, though. So if we do hold here, let's go over the bullish case. I'm going to cover just the bearish case here. But if we do bounce here, there's some major, major key levels. Now, at the end of the day, on the higher time frames, I would say still, right, just like we've looked at previously, these are the biggest levels of resistance I'll be looking at. Right above us here at about $111,700 to $113,000. Really, the idea of this level is it's pretty much just the value area low of the previous range, which sits at about, I would say, about $112,000. Closing the weekly candle up in this volume profile would be a good sign in my opinion, right? And again, We haven't lost this level just yet. We wicked below it. Now we're holding it. You could still get a bounce here. This is still important support that we looked at yesterday. It has not broken. Right now we're holding it. So it is still support. We can still see the bounce. We have the 4-hour bullish divergence now confirmed. Believe I talked about this in the market update earlier today, right? You have the lower lows on your price action. You have the higher lows on your momentum waves. Just barely got that to print, almost got invalidated. But you do have that bullish divergence. So what do we have here? We have some 4-hour bull divs into the key level of support, and you would expect some kind of a bounce to the upside. But what we really want to see here is this money flow to aggressively cross into the green. What I would hope here is that if we could get, and there's a couple different levels, but let's just say we get up here into the value area low or above the value area low of our previous range, again, sitting at about $112,000. If we can see that money flow cross into the green at the same time, well, at that point, right, I could say to myself, well, hey, maybe we're getting accepted into here, right? 4-hour money flow crosses green. This can make us anticipate the continuation of that overall trend where I will be targeting the POC next and then the value area high. The exact same situation we saw down here. We lost the range low. We got back up. We flipped that value area low to support with the money flow crossing into the green. This is what gave us the anticipation that we would be able to fill this profile all the way back here a few weeks ago. It's going to be the same thing on the way back up, right? It's like, and then even here, deviate above, get back in, money flow crosses into the red, you look for the continuation of the move to the downside. So you have the bull divs into key support. If we can continue to push up, I would love the biggest level, honestly, to get above is going to be the value area low at, call it about $112,000, right? Now, we do have a lot of confluence in here, so it is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. You have 2 daily MPOCs, the value area low, and the local golden pocket 786 pulled from the swing high to the low. So it's definitely an area where we could be cautious of lower highs and lower lows. But again, if this money flow is coming up, at that point, maybe we're not looking for the lower high anymore. We can hold inside the range and look to cook through this profile. Now, that's your first local level of resistance. This is not the full Fibonacci retracement. It's just the local high to the local low. But if we do get up here, the biggest levels, as far as like, can we see new all-time highs, right? Well, that's not going to come in until we come into the full golden pocket and the full 786 Fibonacci retracement. So we have a lot of work to do here, and I haven't even brought up the lower levels. Hopefully we can get above this sooner than later. But if we do see some kind of a massive weekend pump, this would be great. And again, we're at support with bullish divergences. Again, like just because I talk about these bearish signals does not mean you can't get significant retracements to the upside. This would feel really bullish and hopefully winds up being actually bullish and we can just scam out all the money flow and continue up. But with the way money flow looks like right now, not just on the 4-hour, but also the higher time frames, such as the 12-hour, such as the 16-hour, such as the daily in the red, and that 2-day attempting to come to the downside. We have a green dot potentially looking to come up here in a minute, so maybe this scams back into the green, but I have to be very cautious on these pushes to the upside, just because of what money flow looks like. Could be calling for the lower highs and lower lows. It is not until we get above, if we can get above the POC, I start to feel really good. And I think once we get up here, we'll have a better idea of if these higher time frame money flows are going to fake out back into the green. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, right? Nobody knows if this is just going to rip to the upside or rip to the downside. If it's going to scam back into new all-time highs, no one really knows the certain answer to that question. But what I can tell you is that if we are going to see new all-time highs, at the end of the day, the invalidation for the lower high and the lower low, even if you get that full big Fibonacci retracement, right, you could still put the lower high in here to continue that overall downtrend. So what does that mean? That means if we get above this 786 and hold it, this is where I would be saying, once you can hold above this value area high, as long as it's not a simple deviation like we saw up here with the fake outs, you could look at that as a deviation. I will always just naturally be looking for short positions up here. Same thing back here. Naturally looking for shorts. But if it looked like it was going to break out, I would probably close that trade here at the value area high. But of course, our money flow was indicating that we would continue down, so we look to hold that trade for lower prices. But if we get back up here, it's going to be the same thing. I'm always going to be cautious. If you deviate above the high, you can always look for those short positions. But depending on what money flow looks like when we get up here, I can't call it, right? We don't have any candles developed. We don't even know if we're going to get up here. But at the point of getting up here and reading money flow, we'll get a better idea of like even the lower and medium time frame money flows. If they're starting to flip green, we'll have a better idea of if this trend is going to continue to the upside. But just from a strict key level perspective, this 786 sitting at about $121,000 / value area high confluence is the level to get above and hold above. Right? I don't know. Money flow is calling much more for a situation where you see the lower high and the lower low. Something like this, or this. So that doesn't mean it has to play out, though, right? The indicators can be wrong. We can get the fake outs. We've seen big fake outs on money flow before. Again, I think it's a lot easier to call earlier in the cycle because you have a lot of time left. But I won't know if this is going to be the squeak into all-time highs until we break above that level. Like people will tell, like I said this in the market updates, there's nothing on this indicator that says, hey, I'm in the red, but it's likely a fake out, right? There's nothing that tells me that. I can only read the indicator for the information given. So I literally won't know, right? We won't know if we're going to push into new all-time highs until we get above this level. And in my opinion, right, until we get above this level, you have to look at the money flow and say, well, the higher probability is going to be lower highs and lower lows. And if we get above here, money flow looks a little bit better, then maybe we can squeeze off into new all-time highs. And by the way, if we do go into new all-time highs, let me pull some targets here just to give you guys an idea. I wouldn't think that we're going to hit it over the weekend unless something super crazy happens. But the next targets to the upside that I'll be looking at is going to be in the $130,000 to $137,000 range, right? Maybe even leak up into 140. But these are going to be kind of those next targets to the upside if we put in another new all-time high. I don't want to get too into this because we're still pretty far away from that happening. And again, money flow is pointing against it. But for anybody looking for the bullish case, like there's an argument for both sides here, right? Like I think because I talk about the bearish signals and the bearish confirmations that we see, this does not mean that I am just permanently bearish. I don't think there's any shot of going up. But you just can't ignore this stuff with how similar it looks to the previous cycle. So at the end of the day, if we get back up here and we hold, it's like, great, we cook into new all-time highs. I am happy to be wrong about that. As a matter of fact, I prefer that the charts are wrong. There's not many times where I'm rooting for the TA to be wrong, but I am rooting for it to be wrong here. So like I am on the bull side. I'm just looking at the information that's being presented to me on the charts, and I just can't ignore it, right? So that is really going to be the biggest level that we're going to be looking at is the $121,000 786 Fibonacci retracement. And again, it's not just some magical level. It's just like until when you're just looking at like a clean chart, right? It's not, if we're looking for a break into new all-time highs, it's like, well, what's the level you have to get above, right? Well, if money flow is coming out and you're expecting lower highs and lower lows, well, the area for that lower high and lower low to come in at is going to be the golden pocket 786 every single time, right? So it's like we could potentially, the biggest correction you can get for while still looking for lower highs and lower lows is a push all the way up here for a lower high and a potential macro lower low. Once you get above that, it's invalidated, right? So it's like, hey, let's scam that thing to the upside. You can look for a break of structure. But that's kind of like the insight into why that level is so important. It's not just some random level. So there you go, right? I like the bullish divergences down here. Whoops. And I will tell you this. If we could ideally, if we can close the weekly candle back inside this profile, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get the move up, but it would be really nice to see the weekly candle close up inside this volume profile because it would show us that maybe we're getting accepted into the profile. At that point, hopefully money flow is coming back up, and then we can just use this as context for the next move. But I'm not really getting super excited. I'm very, very cautious until pretty much we get the breakout, right? Like I just have to wait to see if this is going to happen. Now, we do have some other local levels as well. And actually, it's sitting right here. It's not in the right place. But it's about 108,150, which is obviously, we talked about this eons ago, right? When we initially got our breakout here of our macro range. Let me go ahead and hide the local levels just to make it nice and clean. Get rid of this and hide the daily MPOCs as well, right? Obviously, my thought process here was long-term bullish for new all-time highs, right? Because you get the initial breakout. It's okay to get retests either of the structural highs or even the value area high. We came down, tested that $112,000 structural high. We saw new all-time highs. Beautiful. Then we got the bigger correction. Still not super bearish, right? Because we can just hold on top of that value area high. What happens? Doorway to all-time highs are still open. I've been saying this ever since we got this breakout. If we stay above $107,000 and $108,000, we can still have the doorway open to new all-time highs. We got 1 and 2 of those to play out while holding above that level. That has been absolutely accurate, right? But right now, it's getting pretty sus, right? I would say to myself, well, hey, if we could get back up here and see this candle flip super bullish, right? Maybe the daily candle closes up there. That'd be nice as well. But if that weekly candle can get us closed back above this volume profile, well, guess what? We're back above 107 to 108K. And of course, that does potentially keep the doorway to new all-time highs open. But with the way money flow looks and the Fibonacci retracements above, we just have to say to ourselves, well, hey, we're above here. Technically, we can make a new all-time high. But this time, we just have to be careful for the lower highs and the lower lows. And when we look at this on a, not a lower time frame, but we just look at this on our local price action here, well, I will go down to a lower time frame. Obviously, this value area high sitting at 108,217, right? If we can close above that, right? Well, now you're outside of the volume profile, right? So I would like to see the weekly candle, number one, close above 108,150, 108,182, right? I'd like to see the weekly candle close above there because, again, that will get you out of your volume profile. We do not, I repeat, we do not want to close the weekly candle inside this profile, right? It could be a big sign that we're getting accepted into the profile, right? If we can't get out of here, it's like, well, hey, you're inside the value area. Could open up that door to a bigger drop to the downside. But let's hope that not only the 4-hour bull div, but we also have this popping up on some higher time frames. Currently, we have the 8-hour bullish divergence also printing here. It's a little, it's almost exaggerated, right? It's almost like equal lows, but you do technically have a higher low here with lower lows on price into a key level of support, right? So, that could give you the retracement up, but I have to warn that unless we see all this money flow scam to the upside, it could just be a lackluster bounce until we break above that 786. So key level number one, I'm going to give you like the 3 biggest levels. Level number 1, let's close above 108,200, we'll call it, right? Get out of that volume profile. If we can keep cooking up after that, the next big level to close above, if we wind up getting, the weekly, we start pushing up and that weekly candle can get back up here, right? What I will be looking for is the candle closure above $112,000. Now we're outside, right? At this point, you're outside of your lower value. And if you close the weekly candle in here, you could get accepted into your upper value, which could give you either the bigger retracement or even that scam to all-time highs if that's what you're looking for. You're betting against the indicators, but that's totally fine as long as you know it's not guaranteed that they're going to fake out, right? I always have to stick with what the indicators are saying until proven otherwise, right? So that's what I'd be looking at. 108,200 is the first level to close above. You also have your massive anchored VWAP here that has been massive support all the way this entire move up, right? Tap the anchored VWAP, no problem, continue up. Tap the anchored VWAP value area high, no problem, almost tap it again into new all-time highs. So that is another level that you can look at, but the value area high comes in at 108,200, and then that anchored VWAP right now, this will move, does sit at about $109,435. And if you look at this on a lower time frame, it's like, let's get above this high, right? Let's crack out here. If we can hold on top, right? Ooh, head and shoulders, right? Get on top of that anchored VWAP, flip this structure to support, and then we can look up towards 112K. We close up above there, we can start targeting that POC around 117,000. Once we get up here, I think we'll have a lot more information on money flow to try to anticipate a potential fake out for new all-time highs. But again, I can't really make that call because I don't know what the money flow looks like because we're not up there. So those are the biggest levels of resistance on the way back up. 108,200 to 109.5. You could even like draw this as a little bit of a zone. I mean, it's going to move because that anchor VWAP is going to move. But like, let's get above this. Get above the highs. Get above the anchor VWAP. Get above the value area high. And then like this would make me feel like a little bit better, right? About potentially coming into your value area high. But don't forget, it's a lot of resistance up here, right? So that would be the next big level to get above and flip to support. Then we can look up here, right? And then we'll just assess this situation when we come to it, if we come to it. So those are the biggest levels. We have a lot of work to do. And even when you look at this from a simple perspective without all the key levels, I'll even turn off this major support. I'll turn off the Fibonacci retracement, right? You just look at this from like a price action / range perspective. It's like, hey, for the most part, right? Support, right? Even here, like a little bit of support. This is all going to turn into resistance, right? So once we get back up here, it's nice, right? Because you flipped all that resistance back into support, and then you can look to cook through the profile, right? Just like a more very, very simple view. If I was just like looking at this chart with no tools or anything, it's like, what are you going to look at this as? It's like, all right, well, hey, clearly we have support like in this area, right? So you really got to get back above that and flip it to support before we can even look for that move into the bigger Fibonacci retracements. So those are the key levels. I like the bull divs at the low. I like this level of support, right? I mean, we talked about this last night, right? Like the 786 golden pocket that we're at right now is it is support, right? So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get the bounce, but those are the key levels to get above. In my own personal opinion, that's what I'll be looking for. And again, maybe I'll catch a long position on a retracement, or maybe I'll just try to find a breakout or something like that. But currently, the only trade I'm still holding is the short position with profits locked in, and my stop loss in profit as well, right? Stop loss sitting right above that high. So if I get stopped out, extra little 1,500 in profit, no big deal, and then we'll just reassess the situation. So let me come on into chat here. Shout out to Torado says, this is some serious hopium, Frankie. Yeah, I mean, I would 100% call that hopium. And I'm not someone who's going to come up here and just be like, again, taking a logical approach to the charts here, guys. I have no emotional bias. Like, I'm sure my body wants it to go up. But I've been covering a lot of the bearish case. And, I could say, like, again, if you're looking for new all-time highs, if you want that hopium to play out, like, you are betting against the indicators. You are pretty much just ignoring all the bearish signs. You're ignoring the weekly blood diamond. You're ignoring the bearish divergences. Again, weekly, 2-week, and monthly bearish divergences are nothing to laugh about, right? They're serious signals. And, if it's not going to put us into the bear market. It could still just give us a bigger correction down. And then we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But I've talked about for so long, guys, how important it is to not get back inside this volume profile, because it kind of gives you a really difficult situation. Because sure, like even if we look at the bigger levels we have been paying attention to in the past, the macro 786 was sitting down here at about 104K, which I was okay wicking into like we did here. And even here, if we can, this is kind of what I expected the tap of this 786 to be like. I did not expect to get this massive wick like that, obviously. We were looking for the drop from the value area high to the low and potentially the continuation down, but I did not know we were going to get this big liquidation wick, obviously. It's very hard to predict. Still on the right side of the trade, but there's no way to say like, oh, we're going to get that massive liquidation. But this is kind of, if you just ignore this liquidation, this is kind of what I pictured that this would look like, right? We would get the bounce off the value area low, continue down, and then come deal with these levels, which is the situation we're in right now. And I'm okay taking potential long positions here. Like I showed yesterday, I did take the long. I just got stopped out. If we do take longs here, you just have to be careful, because at that point, you're below the value area high, you're below the anchored VWAP, you're below the previous range low. And if you long right into resistance and you get stuck in here, it could be very bearish. So again, like I give the bullish case, but the charts are definitely pointing way more down. But I just don't want to only cover one case, right? Because like, at the end of the day, I don't know if this is going to just completely scam to the upside. The charts are definitely not pointing towards that. But everybody just wants the hopium, right? It's like if we had massive bullish signals down here, if we had a daily bullish divergence with, which I guess you could argue you kind of have here. You have your low, you have your, it's like getting close to invalidation. But if we bounce here, you could, you have the wick, which kind of throws you off. But if you ignore the wick, right, you do have the daily bullish divergences, which is literally one of the exact confirmations we were looking at. Daily bullish divergences with a sweep into the 786. If this was a daily bull div with the SFP and you had money flow crossing into the green, then I would be like, hey, guys, this looks really good. But I just can't say that because that's not what we see on the chart, right? Back here, we had the daily bullish divergences, and as we crept up, right, that money, we were in a big red wave, and then we got that bullish divergence, and as soon as we put that bullish divergence in, money flow starts crossing up, indicating the big trend is going to continue up, looking for new all-time highs. Very easy. I don't want to say easy, right, but it was like easier for me to make that call back here. But we just don't have that, right? You have this kind of wonky daily bull div. You have the lower time frame bull divs. But money flow, even on the lower time frames, if you look at this as an 8-hour bullish divergence or something like this, right? Lower lows, higher lows. But your money flow is coming out. Even the 6-hour, you have the lower lows. 6-hour bullish divergence printing, but look at your money flow. Your money flow is pointing in the opposite direction. So this would indicate, obviously, a higher probability of lower highs and lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And if it wanted to get really scammy, maybe just lower high, lower low on the value area high. But I wouldn't be surprised if we can get above this locally. But yeah, I would definitely say the charts are definitely, there's more bearish puzzle pieces than bullish puzzle pieces, but everybody just wants to hear like, well, how can it go up? Like it can go up, but you're just looking for a fake out on everything, which I'm all for. I hope it fakes out. I hope the TA doesn't play out. The charts are the truth. I would say 90% of the time, I am hoping the charts are lying right now. So there we go. Let's see. Short stream, he said. What are we at? Oh no, we're still good. I got 23 minutes left on the timer here. We held the 50-week for now. Yeah, we actually didn't even tap it. We actually front ran it slightly, which gives us even more of a confusing situation. But I just won't even cover that. But yeah, we actually didn't even come down to tap it. We front ran it very briefly here. All right, and then the liquidation wicks on some of the other exchanges got you a little closer, but we are still above it, right? So, like, if you're looking at the 50-week moving average as your sign to say, well, hey, I think it's the bear market, lose the 50-week, can't get back above bear market, right? If you're looking for that, we have not done that yet, right? It is still below us, and it's kind of a general area, guys. Like, again, this, 101,700, almost 102K is pretty much where that 50-week moving average is. So, even if we do come back down here, I guess you could still kind of play around with it and get the bounce. But, all this stuff is very close. Like, once we start losing this stuff, the $96,000 POC, $96,000 to $97,000 POC is 100% my next expectation if we wind up losing all this, right? So say, where's 101.7? It's like almost right on this low. If we wind up losing this low, right, or AKA this 786, you lose this 786, can't hold it. What are we looking for? POC, right? It's coming in at 96,672. But that's only if you lose that zone. And that's something I've gone over a million times, even back here, right? We're like, well, hey, guys, if we come back down here, we lose that 786, yikes, right? But we wound up holding on top of the value area high for new all-time highs, which was our expectation. Very nice. I'm just hoping, right? Like our expectations here were new all-time highs. We got it. We were right. Our expectation here was new all-time highs. We were right. We got it. Our expectation here based off the charts, right, which is what I based all this off of, our expectation here until proven otherwise is going to be lower high, lower low. And I pray that we are wrong about that. I pray that I'm wrong about that. I pray that the TA is wrong about that. But yeah, like I just can't say like, oh, massive bullish divergences with money flow coming up. This looks really good. Like I would be calling for that if it's there, but just simply, it's just yes or no. It's binary. It's 1 or 0. It's just like, it's just not here. I can't say it. I could say I have the bull divs, but money flow is pointing in the wrong direction. So you just have to be careful for those bounces. Let's see. Yeah, what does this mean for alts? Shout out to Ricardio. So let's go ahead. I'll take a look at Ethereum here real quick for you guys. So Ethereum, we took a look at this yesterday as well, right? What was the key level we were looking at on Ethereum? We brought up both of the Fibonacci retracements, right? You had the local fib retracement that we were bouncing off of at the time, but that's not the full fib, right? Ethereum was chilling up here when Bitcoin was kind of, coming into the bigger retracement level. And Ethereum did end up following suit there, coming down to that full golden pocket 786. So very similar to Bitcoin, right? We're coming into support. Is this a place I would ever open a short position? Absolutely not. If I were looking for anything here on Ethereum or Bitcoin, right? Like even Bitcoin, I would not be looking for a short on Bitcoin at these support levels, right? Like the short that I'm in was from up here, right? The shorts are to be had as prices coming up, not as prices coming down. This is not a place where I would look for a short. I would only, I took the long yesterday. I would still be in it if I didn't get stopped out. Only thing I can look for here is a long, right? Because even if it is lackluster, right? Well, you're not going to want to short that, right? You're going to want to long that. Same thing on Ethereum, right? I would not be looking for shorts on Ethereum. If anything, I would have, if we were coming into this golden pocket, right? That would be a long for me, right? Not a short. The shorts would be had on the lower highs, or at the high, right? Like I'm never looking to short this. I'm never looking to short this. So you are coming into support on Ethereum. Again, money flow looks very similar with money flow coming out. So, let's see if we can get the bounce here. You don't really have the bullish divergences like you do on Bitcoin, at least on the 8-hour. Yes, you have your momentum making higher lows, but you don't really have the lower lows on your price action. You just kind of have equal lows, which could be looked at as an exaggerated bull div, but it's not really exactly what I would like to see, right? A cleaner bullish divergence there would be something like this. You don't even have it to your wicks, but you would have it to your bodies if we came down to the 786. We just don't have that, right? But you're at support. Key level, very key level of support. I would be looking for, if I were looking for a trade here, it would have to be a long, right? Not a short. I'm not telling you too long Ethereum here. I'm just saying, it's I have to be clear about that, right? It's like I could have a bearish bias long term without saying enter short here, right? Again, it's like usually contrarian when we enter these trades. Like, oh my God, it's coming down. I'm looking for longs. Oh my God, it's going up. I'm looking for shorts, right? So just from like a logical standpoint, right? As you are dipping, that is where you want to look for longs, right? Even if it's just going to be short-lived. I would say money flow looks the same here. Money flow coming out, this can change, but as long as it's coming out, you do have to be careful on those key levels of resistance, which on Ethereum, for me, right, you have your anchored VWAP pulled here from the actual high. This is coming in right on our macro 786 at about $4,082. This will obviously move as price develops, right? But I don't know if I'd really be looking at this as a major level. It is important to understand this is here because this is one of the big levels that we want to get back above in order to see new all-time highs as well. It's not the level to look for all-time highs, but this is definitely, if we're below this, I'm not expecting all-time highs, right? Once we get above this, we can start to anticipate it, and then like the more, I guess you could call it the more like tactical level, right, is going to be the 786 value area high up here. Very similar to Bitcoin, right? If we get back up here, flip the 786, it's almost the same exact thing. You range around up here, you've now lost it, and obviously these range lows are going to be resistance until proven otherwise, right? Resistance until proven otherwise if we can get back up there. Once you can flip that value area low, almost the same exact situation as Bitcoin, if we can get above that value area low, well, guess what? We can look for a flip of support, and then you have your POC right above you at 4,300. And then once you get above that, you got to fight these massive Fibonacci retracements. And actually, let me pull this to this high real quick because I want to see where these are, right? So I would say big levels. I'm going to hide the macro 786 because it's a little bit more of an abstract level. I'll just hide this to clean up the chart. So I would say your biggest level of resistance to get through on a high time frame for Ethereum is going to be the value area low POC macro golden pocket retracement sitting between $4,200 and $4,300. If we can't get back above that, well, that's not not going to be looking for upside, right? If we can get back above that, flip these levels to support, well, then we can look to come up to the 786 and then break out of that value area high and hopefully see new all-time highs. But again, money flow is not pointing towards that as of right now, but this can change, right? Maybe we hang out down here. Maybe we come down a little bit lower. Money flow comes into the red, and then as you work your way up, you see that money flow cross back into the green. What we really want to see is acceptance back into these upper ranges with money flow coming up. That's what I'd be looking at for Ethereum, right? Now, other than that, all the other time frames look very similar. You have a 8-hour green dot looking to print, right? So again, we are at support. This is never a place I would look to short. And I'll give you one more honorable mention. If you don't make it all the way up to this value area low, we could always pull from our high to our low here locally. And, I would probably just incorporate that 786 with the value area low. But you also do have a golden pocket here at about $4,060, which is, again, confluent with your macro 786, right? And that anchored VWAP, at least as of right now. So you got a lot of work to do here. And I would say, could you come up for an aggressive lower high here before continuing down? Sure. But, for me to look for a bigger move up, I would like to get above that POC at about $4,300. So there you go. That's what I would look at. Below you still have the 786 untapped here at about 36.21. And then the biggest level of support on Ethereum, very similar to Bitcoin, is going to be your massive anchored VWAP, which is also confluent with your value area high of the macro range, right? So you definitely want to hold on top of this 35.30 level, which is, of course, we don't want to get accepted back into this value, right? If you get accepted back into this volume profile, the higher probability becomes to fill that volume or fill that value area. So, we have some other levels that we can look at here for, last minute bounces. But, for the most part, the biggest level underneath you is going to be this value area high. I would not want to close the weekly candle below this value area high. It would likely indicate at least more downside to the low 3,000s. So there you go. That's what I would be looking at on Ethereum. And the nice thing about Ethereum is, you have the money flow crossover into the green here, and it is a little bit earlier in the crossover, right? When you look at something like Bitcoin, this weekly money flow has been in the green throughout this entire bull market, right? Ethereum, we got the move up, and then eventually we just got the big meltdown, and now we're crossing back into the green here. So we'll see if we can get that green dot. This is going to take some time to develop. I don't expect this to make any drastic changes over the weekend. But, weekly money flow is technically still in the green here, and I guess you could also argue that you could continue this trend to the upside as well, right? So something like this. So yeah. At this point, I'm hoping this cycle is just completely different than the last one, right? That's the hopium. The hopium is this cycle is totally different. The bearish signs don't matter, right? And this time's just going to be completely different situation. We're going to see this maybe go on for another half a year or a year. But again, you're just betting against all the patterns, all the technical indicators, and a lot of warning signs that we're seeing here. I do pray that happens, though. So yeah. And we'll keep an eye on the altcoins. $89,000 Bitcoin target. Potentially, we do have some support down closer to like $90,000 and $84,000. We do have some big support if you really want to get doom and gloom here. If we pull this up real quick, right, I pull up all the daily and weekly MPOCs. And if we just take off the volume profiles, we'll keep it nice and simple here. I'll just look at the horizontal levels. Take a look at like where those high time frame supports are. Right. Well, here you are, right? Again, by that $101,700 level, you do have a weekly MPOC near that 50-week moving average. So, that is still support. But once you break down below this weekly MPOC, guys, that next weekly MPOC is at like $85,000, right? We pull up the monthly MPOCs. This one's already tapped, so I'll hide this. The next monthly MPOC is all the way down there at $84,000 as well. Let's see the daily MPOCs. And you can see we have a big cluster of support down here between like $85,000 and $82,000. Other than that, you have these like two daily naked points of controls in the low 90s. But other than that, right, like the higher time frame supports are, there's not much underneath this, right? And at that point, if you measure from wick to this weekly MPOC, it's another 32% correction. Would this break macro structure? Well, hey, I mean, you could argue that, hey, this is gonna, I don't know, you'd be breaking the trend line, but you could potentially come down here and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like we still held a higher low. It's not that bad. But again, what is your high time frame money flow looking like, right? It's not like every time you have support, you have to put in a higher low, right? Eventually, the higher low is not going to come in, right? It's like, all right, so cool. We got a higher low and a higher high. And then this was an area where we could have looked for a higher low. But guess what happened, right? Sure, it's an area you could put a higher low in at, but would you expect it? I wouldn't, right? Why? Money flow is coming out, indicating you're looking for lackluster retracements for lower highs and lower lows, right? We were on the right side of that trade back here in 2021. So again, I'm not saying the top is in. I'm just bringing up the bearish signs. I try to build a case here where we can just get out of here. But when it comes to the chart, there's not much stuff that's saying like, hey, massive move incoming. Doesn't mean it won't, but again, if the massive signals were here, guys, like I always fight to be bullish. And unfortunately, it's like, like down here, a lot of people like were almost mad that I was bullish down here. I don't know why, right? But everyone's like, oh my God, this is the bear market. You're an idiot. This is exactly what happened. This is a miniature version of what happened in 2021. You're a moron if you don't think this is the top. But why didn't I think the top was in here? We had the bullish confirmations. We had the daily bull dips. We had the money flow coming up. So if I had that, I would be talking about it. So yeah, it doesn't mean you can't, but it's like when I try to find the bullish signs here, it's like it all goes back to like I pretty much say like you just have to extend this cycle. This time has to be completely different, and the technicals just have to not matter, which happens sometimes. And I pray, guys. I'll say it again. All right, let's see. Chaos said, why is this time different? Only years that October was a down month in overall markets is 1907, the bank panic, 1929, Great Depression, 1987, Black Monday, 2008, the Great Financial Crisis. Yeah, I don't know if that's, I don't know if you're asking like, why is this time different or why is this time different? And that was your explanation. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean by that. But yeah, I mean, it's just never my base case that this time is different. And again, it's because of my experience, right? I've been here through multiple cycles, right, where almost every time they're calling for this time to be different. I've just never seen those people be right. Eventually, they probably will be. I do think the cycle will change over time as the asset matures, right? Even if you're just in a different environment, right? If they turn the money printers on and this could potentially cause like the great melt up, right? Well, guess what? If the stock market has the great melt up, right? And they turn the money printer on and we just wind up getting a massive melt to higher prices. Well, guess what Bitcoin's going to do? Bitcoin is very likely going to follow that. The problem is I can't predict that future, right? I could say if they print money, it's probably going to cause a melt up. And I can say if the stock market melts up, Bitcoin's going to follow, right? If we pull up Bitcoin here on the Bitstamp chart to look at all the history and we pull up something like the SPY, I know a lot of people like to believe in the 4-year cycles and, I do take them into account. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, right, the crypto cycles, right, or the crypto market is very heavily just like correlated to the stock market or traditional finance, right? So if we just pull the SPY up over Bitcoin here, it's like, I don't know how anyone could really dispute that, right? Like they are literally just mirror each other. So at the end of the day, it's like, cool, 4-year cycle, like, it is weird how it all lines up. It's more of like a macro liquidity cycle. But hey, massive bull market for the stock market. Well, great. Massive bull market for Bitcoin, right? Oh, massive bear market for Bitcoin. Well, massive bear market for the stock market. Oh my God, we're coming out of the bear market for Bitcoin. Well, look at that. Stocks are out of their bear market, right? So this just follows itself, right? These just follow each other. And, I can make, predictions, right? Like speculative predictions like, well, hey, if they're going to turn the money printer on, which you could argue is likely, well, that might cause the great melt up, which would be, again, right, great for the stock market. And I would say what's going to happen to Bitcoin in that case? Is it Bitcoin just going to go down because of the 4-year cycle? I wouldn't say so, right? If the stock market's going up, I would think Bitcoin will follow. I just can't predict if that's definitely going to happen or not. So it's hard for me to like bet all my money on that. And, I've been talking a lot about even up here, right, how my fingers are getting itchy to take some profit on my Bitcoin. And this has a lot to do with the fact that, like, I have a very good entry here. I'm up like 500% on my Bitcoin. And if I take profit, I was telling the premium Discord, like, if I take profit here, I don't want to cause panic. I don't want people to think like, oh, he sold his bags. He knows the top is in, right? Like, nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. But for me personally, if I take more profit up here, it is much more of just part of my plan. Right, like the risk for me to not take more profits up here, like may just not outweigh the benefits of holding. Right, because it's like if we go up to 140K, like what am I really missing out on? Right, depending on where I sell. If I sold right now, I'm missing out on a 28% pump when I'm already up 500%. So it's not like I would sell my bags here because I just guaranteed think it's over. I would sell a majority of my bag or maybe a good portion of my bag, but I would still stay slightly exposed in case that happens. Right, in case we do get that melt up, I want to be somewhat exposed to the market. So it wouldn't be like me calling the top because I'm selling my bags. Yeah, you have to understand when I have these. I did this the other day, or maybe it was yesterday. Right. Just ignore the stop loss. I don't know why it's all the way down there. But, when I enter here, right, like, how crazy would it be for me just like, especially with the timing of the cycles, we got to 126K. That was very close to our 130 to 137K second bull market target, and when we start to see these bearish confirmations, like, why not just take some off the table and still be able to be exposed to the upside? And there'll be a lot of people that are like, he sold his bag if we do go up, right? Oh, he sold his bag before we pumped. What an idiot, right? But like, not really, right? Like, I'm up massively. It's not like I sold at break even or sold at a loss or anything like that, right? It's just kind of very close to where I was looking to take profit anyway. And of course, I would still be exposed for more upside. So just some thought processes there, guys. It's like, I hope this time is different, and I think the great melt-up is a pretty decent argument for that, which is why I say there is an argument for the bullish case and the bearish case. I don't really fall on one side or the other super passionately. I just have to I typically lean on the side of the charts, and when I just do the simple technical analysis, there's a lot of bearish signs here. So, and if I could just know for a fact that when they're going to turn that money printer on, not only if, but when, it's impossible to predict that. So we'll have to see what happens. It's a very difficult time in the market right now. If you can't tell, right? Like even just sentiment is just like everybody's fighting with each other. It's crazy. But I'm just here giving the information. Don't shoot the messenger. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I'm not even me, right? I just hope the charts are wrong here. So yeah, when people say, do I think the top is in? My simple answer is, I don't know. There's a lot of bearish puzzle pieces pointing towards that, which makes me lean a little bit towards like, I want to be careful, but never would I say, you're an idiot if you're not selling your bags, guys. The cycle's over. Like I'm never going to say that because of the specific macroeconomic situation that we're in, if that makes sense. So there you go. So we went over Ethereum. Yeah, shout out to Bit Bounty Hunter said this time is not different. Tony, if you are in here, can you make a poll? Do you guys think this time is different or not? And then you'll have a simple answer to your question of if you should think the top is in. If you believe in the 4-year cycle, there should be pretty decent reason for you to be like worried that the top is in, or maybe even just close to coming in if we put in another new all-time high. If you don't believe in the 4-year cycle, well, you're hoping for the great melt-up, which I think that's plausible too. I'm just not willing to bet all of my money on it, right? I want to lock in some profits and then still stay exposed. I have not sold anything just yet, just to keep you guys aware. Yo, shout out to Crypto Billy. Said Frankie is the cycle, but Frankie, look at your watch. Think about your future bride. Shout out to Crypto Billy. I got 5 minutes on the timer, baby. I got 5 minutes on the timer. So we took a look at Ethereum. Dominance, not really a huge update here for dominance. Obviously, it's just like nothing to update here. If we get more upside, which could be possible, right? Because we have the daily money flow now crossing into the green, daily green dot looking to print, right? What would this indicate? Well, it's probably going to indicate strength for Bitcoin, right? Potentially, at the highest I would want this to go and not exceed is going to be about 64%. I hope we don't have to deal with that. But these are the two major levels of resistance on dominance. But in the meantime, right, if dominance marches up, it doesn't mean that your altcoins are necessarily going to dump, but it's very likely this would mean that Bitcoin's just going to outperform the altcoins, right? So it doesn't mean they're going to go to zero necessarily. Doesn't mean they won't either, but it just means that Bitcoin's going to outperform here. So I wouldn't be surprised about that short term if you get that green dot on the daily, continue to push up into these resistance levels. Other than that, right, doesn't invalidate the higher time frame money flow just yet, right? If you put the higher low or lower high, lower low, or even a lower high and a lower low. Once we break above this 786 PLC, that's where things start to get very, very sketchy, right? For alt season, that is. But, until we break above that level, I think it's hard to just fully throw in the towel. People say, Frankie, when is alt season going to happen? Timing. I was talking about this in the premium Discord. Shout out to, I think it was Thomas asked the question. Timing is one of the most difficult things to call. I 100% agree with that, right? People say, Frankie, when is alt season? The only definitive answer I can give you, or the highest probability answer I can give you, is alt season happens when Bitcoin dominance does this, right? But the problem is, I don't know, right? No one knows how long it's going to take us to get up here and if we're going to get the rejection, right? No one knows if we're going to come up here or how long that will take before we get the rejection. And no one even really knows if we're going to get the rejection. I could say that the higher probability here, based off the high time frame indicators, is that the trend will continue down, just like on Bitcoin. You guys know we nail these money flow trend continuations based off the money flow, right? Like almost every single time. It's how we made that money on the short and the long, the previous long that we took. Technically, if you want to know when, it's when dominance comes down. I can make my guesses and say, well, hey, maybe we spend another week coming up, and then we put the top in, and then we get another breakdown, and you could try to estimate it, right? But if dominance just decides to chop sideways here for a bunch of months, and then we shoot up here, right? The timing is very difficult to call. So it's just kind of a wait and see. Right. What I would say is if you get above that POC, it's not looking great. Right. But until you do that, it's I don't know when or how long it's going to take. But I would still say that the opportunity is here for a rejection and a lower high and a lower low. But just calling when is just almost impossible. It's Frankie, when are we going to see all time highs? It's well, I could say, well, hey, if we put the low in here, it's we could shoot right back up. But if you chop around, this could be 48 days, right? You spend almost 2 months down here. It's well, now you're 2 months off of your prediction, right? Timing is extremely hard to call. So there you go. Shout out to Aziz. Welcome in, brother. He said, Frankie, did you count the large wick for the macro golden pocket, or is the golden pocket different since the wick varies across multiple exchanges. So whatever chart I was looking at, or any chart that I am looking at, I'll just pull that wick relative to that chart, right? So you can look at both of them. I know this wick is different on almost every exchange. I mean, you pull up the Bitstamp chart, there is no wick, right? There's no leverage. So, you can't even pull that golden pocket here because we don't have the low, right? Like if you pulled this golden, like you just can't pull that golden pocket because the wick's not lower. But for the Bybit chart, right, I'm just pulling it to the bottom of this wick. Right, so the golden pocket that we're bouncing off of right now would be pulled from this wick low to the swing high. And there we are, right? And it's a zone, right? We even talked about this yesterday. It's like if we dip down a little deeper into this, like you still have the 786 here. I unfortunately got stopped out, right? Can't always have the perfect entry. But until we lose this, right? I mean, we're technically holding support right now. So let's see. Rob got stuck on the toilet. We all know how and why. So are people asking why Rob the Crypto Snob is not here? He's on the toilet, guys. He got stuck. He fell in. He's stuck there. He had to call the fire department. But anyway, so you're saying there's a chance. Shout out to Post. There will always be a chance. Absolutely. I sold my crypto 80% 3 weeks ago because of all those bearish signs. Shout out to the Godfather. I mean, at least as of right now, you're feeling pretty good about that, I'm sure, brother. I'm sure. And at the end of the day, guys, like calling the tops, right? Like I talked about this earlier today with the premium. It's like, imagine you sell your bags here and you're just like, you know what? This is 2021. Obviously, we're looking at 2021 here. It's like, I'm going to sell 80% of my bag, right? And then it comes up and like you're really kicking yourself. But if you were buying all the way down at the bottom of the bear market and you're up 1,000% on your Bitcoin, it's like, just because you can continue up doesn't mean it's a bad idea to take profit here, right? So let's pretend the Godfather in 2021 took 80% profit here. Are you kicking yourself if you go into another new all-time high? Maybe, right? But when you're up 1,000%, right, and then you miss out on what? Another 82%? Like, yeah, sure, more money is better, but this also could have been the case where this was the top, right? Like, you're never going to know exactly where the top is. And then again, this was a wild ride because you would have sold here, been like, oh man, I'm an idiot. Oh, never mind. I just missed the top by a little bit. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. And then in hindsight, looking all the way back, you're just like, all right, well, cool. I sold here. And that was essentially just 80, or not even 80, or wick to wick here from the top, about 59% off the all-time high. You're never going to get it to the tick dollar. But this emotion could be crazy. Like, imagine if you're just looking at these green candles, you're like, oh my God, this thing's going to 100K. I sold way too early. I sold at 40K or whatever this is. Yeah, 40K. It's like, oh my God, I missed out. But again, it has to do with like where you're in at, right? Like, is the risk to reward when you're up 1,000%? If you think the high is coming in, it doesn't matter if you're wrong temporarily. At the end of the day, you're going to be happy that you took some kind of profit. So shout out to the Godfather. If we do go into a new all-time high, which again, if we can get back above 107, 108K, that doorway is now back open. Let's say we go into another new all-time high. Who knows, right? Like, in my opinion, I still think if we put a new all-time high, you're probably closer to the top than anything. The only thing I can think that could change that drastically is if you see a true great melt up. Other than that, right? Like, you would have to say, like, you know, I'd be very careful on that next high. And like, maybe it's similar to here, where like if you took your 80% profit here, maybe going to another high, you're going to feel really stupid at first, but then eventually, looking in hindsight, you're never going to regret taking profit. And if you've been through the 2021 cycle and you round tripped your bags, it's probably really easy for you to look back and be like, yeah, man, like if you round tripped your bags here, you'd be like, I wish I sold at 40K, right? I wound up panicking and selling at 18K, and then I missed out on this, right? So it's like very difficult situation. And I mean, that's just the fact of the matter when it comes to investing, trading, all that stuff. You have to make these difficult decisions, and you're never going to know 100% exactly where the top is or exactly where the bottom is. Not even me, right? With all the experience I have trading and doing like legitimate TA, like down here, I thought Bitcoin was going to come down to between $12,000 and $14,000. I mean, I was pretty dang close, right? We bottomed out at about 15,400, 15,500, right? You're never going to, you know, barely missed that call, right? But I'm not waiting for 14,000 to buy, right? I'm dollar cost averaging in to get that average $20,000 entry and then enjoying the rest of the bull market. So you don't, you know, you just have to like manage the risk. And I guess like quote unquote managing the risk in a bear market would be like, just like buying on the way down, dollar cost averaging, not just trying to snipe the bottom, right? You would have thought this was the bottom. You would put your whole bag in and you're like, oh my God, we went all the way down to 15K. Why'd I do that, right? So you just dollar cost average, dollar cost average, dollar cost average. You get a nice little entry point. That's exactly what I did. And you enjoy that move up, right? You're not trying to snipe the bottom. And it's kind of similar in the bull markets, right? Like I pretty much daily dollar cost average out. Not daily, though, right? It's like I hit my first target. I took a little bit of profit here, very small profit, right? Target number 2 was for me at 130 to 137K. We hit 126K. And with these bearish confirmations, it just makes me think like, hey, maybe I will just take a little bit more profit off the table. And I'll let you guys know if I do that. But again, I wouldn't be selling my bags or a portion of my bags just saying, oh, the top is in. I think the top is in, so I'm selling my bags. It has a lot to do with the fact that I'm up 500% on my Bitcoin, right? And you do have to understand diminishing returns as well, right? You might say like, well, if you're only 500% up, like, wouldn't that be the same thing as like being right here and you have much more upside? We're in a different point right now if you're paying attention to the 4-year cycle and just diminishing returns, right? The explosive moves up and the big dumps down get more and more muted over time as the market cap gets higher. So there you go. Trying to like squeeze like my lifetime of being in crypto knowledge in like these short little live streams. I mean, these are all things that I've gathered over many years of being in this market. So, but there we go. It's and at the end of the day, the markets are, you know, you have to just assume the markets are random. And there's so many things in these markets. You can't control the tweets. You can't control the Fed rate. You can't control, just the randomness in the market. But what can you 100% control is your decisions, your risk management, your stop losses, your decisions. That's the only thing that you can control 100%. So you really have to have strong discipline on that. And mark my words, if I sell Bitcoin up here, right, or some of my Bitcoin, and we continue up, right, I said this before, like people are going to be like, I sold this bag before it went up. I'm not upset about that at all, right? I've been holding on this entire ride up, right? I'm happy to take profits and see it continue go up, right? And then I'll just take more profits at my next targets. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully we can get this great. Let's start a great melt up chant. Melt up. Print the money. Print the money. Print the money. Let's go. Come on. But anyway, crypto president or crypto killer president? For someone focused on his legacy, he's down worse than my spot bags. Hopefully ego is the bet. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing we've talked about as well, right? Like, politics aside, I am like the most anti-political person you'll ever meet. But, just taking this from a logical standpoint, it's like you have to think, right? Trump, big ego, businessman at that, like him or hate him. Again, just like a binary kind of observation here, right? Businessman, huge ego, and he's president, right? So like he's obviously incentivized to have the markets do good if he can. Obviously, there's been a lot of manipulation this cycle as well. But who knows, right? Maybe he gets a new Fed chair in there that's a lot more aggressive and starts the printing money. But that might not happen. It's probably not going to happen until 2026 anyway, right? So it's like I can't guarantee that, right? Things could change so fast, right? We get these news events, and it's like, one day it's be like, oh, the trade war's over, and then like the next day it's like, oh, extra tariffs because this crazy thing happened, right? All that stuff is super unpredictable, which is why I just always stick to the charts. So, are we doing giveaways today? At Tony D, are you in the chat? If Tony D is in the chat, we'll run the giveaways right now because I really do have to go. I'm about 15 minutes over the timer here. It is Mrs. Candle's birthday, guys. Like I said, she sacrifices a lot of time with me to let me hang out with you guys all the time and keep you guys all updated. So I do want to spend some time with her tonight for her birthday. It's the magical 21, guys. I'm kidding. She's not 21. I won't reveal her age, but she's actually turning 53, guys. She's a cougar. I'm just kidding. Her hands look good for a 53-year-old. But anyway, let's see. Shout out to Epoch. Said, bro, go. He is here. Mrs. Candles, can you come here for a second? Did she say no? I mean, it's her birthday. I can't really argue with her. Oh, he's here. Okay, yeah, dude. Let's do the giveaways real quick. We might as well. I don't want to postpone until next week. Then we're gonna, we might forget or something like that. So let's run the giveaways, Tony. Drop the winners in the chat. And I did not know this, guys. I probably should have said this. I apologize. This is my mistake. Hey. Anyway, come here, Mrs. Candles. Happy birthday to you. Oh, she's embarrassed, guys. She's embarrassed. Let me get a hand sniff. Bitcoin's going to zero, Miss Candles. I need to sniff this. This is for the mafia. Oh, yeah. Whew, smells like cocoa butter. The birthday girl, the sassy birthday girl. But yeah, Tony, let's run the giveaways. Mrs. Candle's hands in the chat. Come on, baby. Come on. Oh, and I never mentioned this, guys. I was not aware of this. Tony D let me know. You must be subscribed to get picked for the giveaways. I had no idea about that. So you must be subscribed to the channel. Otherwise, I don't think Nightbot is even able to pick you. Let's see. Face reveal. Shout out to Post. One day, I'm going to get her face on here. I'm just going to grab her in and pop it. Theron does things. Come on, baby. Mrs. Candles, the Mafia's wishing you a happy birthday, and you were just totally you totally sassed us out. She doesn't even want us to sniff her hand to pump Bitcoin, guys. Maybe she's the market maker. She's like, nah, we're going lower, pal. All right, let's see. Sub, shout out to Henny. I appreciate that, brother. Hopefully you win. Shout out to Henny. We're going to root for you, bro. You're the one we're rooting for tonight. Come on, baby. Come on. LSLS in the chat. Come on, baby. Shout out to Bale in the chat. What is going on? We need a foot next time. Actually, guys, I hope she's not watching this, but I got Mrs. Candles a foot massager for her birthday. That's one of her gifts. It was more for me. It was more for me than her, but I don't even know if you guys could hear that. I hope you got her something more than some more crypto. Yeah, shout out to Crypto Independent. Mrs. Candle still holds her crypto. Mrs. Candle's bought her crypto so long ago, and she just doesn't touch it. I'm always like, and she's got me. I'm like telling her exactly what's going on, and she's just like, not a chance. Your paper hands, I'm gonna hold. And her altcoins are still up. One of the few people I know that their altcoins are still up. But she's had to hold for a very long time. Sniff the foot. That's crazy, bro. Shout out to Chaz says, just saying October was a down month only on the historical crashes. Everything bubble. BTC will be a part of it. 100. I mean, listen, if everything goes down, 100% Bitcoin will follow. I'm in the camp of if we saw something like this. Shout out to Chaz, bro. If we saw something like, for whatever reason, we saw a massive stock market crash at this time when Bitcoin just started tapping its all-time high, I would have been in the camp that Bitcoin would just follow that regardless of the 4-year cycle. Because again, I pulled SPY on top of this. Like, there's just no. It's not even my opinion, right? It's like if the stock market goes down, Bitcoin goes down. If the stock market goes up, Bitcoin goes up. It's just how it. Again, just pull it up, right? So it's like that's why I say if the great melt up is gonna end up giving us a melt up on the stock market, I would have to say, right, the chances of Bitcoin following that are very high. But it's just really hard to predict that stuff, right? Like right here, Bitcoin tops out November of 2021, right? And the stock market tops out December of 2021, right? So it's like they top out around the same time, they bottom out at the same time. Stock market bottomed a little earlier here in October, and then Bitcoin bottomed out in November, right? So it's like, even these little corrections, right? It all tracks. It all tracks. It all tracks. Just walked in. Give me a minute. Shout out to Tony D. I wish I had some elevator music to play. Thank you guys for wishing Mrs. Candles a happy birthday. Crypto Maxi said, Nightbot, be my friend. Tony made it home. All right. I know he was running around. Tony, take your time, bro. Take your time. I'm just joking. We're wrapped up here anyway. Tony D had to run out and do something. Where is Blow Up Mrs. Candles? Hey, actually, this might be why we dumped, guys. All right, I can only show her head because her shirt just fell off. But Mrs. Candles is just about as deflated as it gets here. So I should start blowing her back up. Yo, Crypto Billy, thank you for the super chat. Said Tony D, not home, delayed giveaways next week. Yo, shout out to Crypto Billy, bro. You guys are the goats, man. How did you get that before I did? Shout out to Crypto Billy. Thank you, bro. All right, we got 30 seconds on the clock. 30 seconds. Tony D is typing on the computer. I hope it's not over. Shout out to Satoshi Glakamoto. Me too, my man. Me too. It ain't over. We'll see. We'll see with that weekly candle closure. We get that weekly candle closure above 108, 107. Decent. Get above 112. Looks like we could probably get that bigger retracement. But yeah, I really do hope. And again, guys, when it comes at the end of the day, this won't change much for me, right? If we do go into a bear market, right? Obviously, we'll change my spot bag scenario, but this will not change anything. It does not mean that the opportunity is over in crypto. And this is why I'm so passionate about teaching people, not only just how to trade, but, how to trade up and down, right? There is no, heck, just up almost $7,000 here as price goes down. If we were in a bear market, guess what? This is a lot of opportunity, right? This was just a, whatever it is. What is this? A 18% dump to the downside, and not even really. It's really just 13% drop to the downside. Think about this. If you go into a bear market, there's going to be so much opportunity like this, just like on the way up. There's so much opportunity on the way down to make this money, right? We're going to be making money through the bear market either way on the trades, right? Spot bags don't, I look at it as this is my earned income. Right, I make the money on the trades, and then you could, roll it back over in a spot, do whatever you want with the profit. But like this is my earned income, and then through the bull markets, right, that is where I let the spot bags long term grow my wealth over time passively, and then this is my earned income that I actually have to work for, do the TA, take the trades, manage them, etc. And then of course I have the YouTube channel as well. But this is. Like the opportunity is not over, and hopefully like I'm an example of that, right? Like just think about this: if we're gonna get massive drops and it's super scary, like look at all that opportunity, like look at all the money that you can make. That's why it's important for in my opinion, and it's not for everybody, right? If you don't have time to sit on the charts, not everybody needs to be a day trader, but so much opportunity, and I think a lot of people just think, I know there's a lot of people out there that like want to learn how to trade and potentially replace their job. Just because the bull market's not happening does not mean that you cannot make money and change your life and build one of the most, not one of the most, but the highest leverage skill, no pun intended, right? Highest leverage, most easily scalable business in the world, which is trading. No location ties. No location ties, no boss, no customers, no returns, nothing like that. Just the market and nobody else, right? The freedom is insane. Even though I pretty much live a traditional life because I run the YouTube channel and I enjoy teaching people and helping people. Super fulfilled by that. So it's just like Tony D said giveaways are the one thing I can't do remote. I thought you were home. Shout out to Tony D. But yeah, it's if I did not have a YouTube channel or anything like that, or maybe even next cycle. Maybe next cycle I'll just be like the traveling trading YouTuber. But for the most part, I live a pretty typical non-location freedom life. Just because, I don't know, I love working, right? Like this is what I'd be doing regardless of what the situation was. I love to do this. There's no reason I don't know. I don't think I could just like go out and trade and then just go lay on the beach all day. I'd just be so bored. I like to build stuff. I love business. I love I love all that stuff. I like to be busy. He said I am. I was saying it wouldn't have been an issue. Oh, yeah, shout out to Tony D. Or it would have been an issue. Or wouldn't have been an issue. But, yeah, you're good, bro. Congrats, winners. Unlucky for me. Never won a giveaway. Oh, my God, he already pulled the winners. He pinned it. I didn't even see it pop up. So shout out to Pranav, shout out to Cryptic Crabman, let's go, baby, let's go. Shout out to Heat, shout out to Two Wheel, Crypto, Rocket Rides, Ligmawick, one of the best names in the game. Shout out to Post, Pumpin', hey, shout out to Pumpin', hopefully we can get Pumpin' soon. And shout out to LS OB Trading, shout out to you, you won a free giveaway. So let's go. But yeah, I mean, I think that's about all we got, guys. I got to go hang out with Mrs. Candles for her birthday. Have a great weekend. Again, if you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I give you all the key local levels and macro levels, and then kind of my overall thought process for the long term here. And hopefully we can get that great melt up. Hopefully this time is different, but just understand I'll never just call for that blindly. So I'll keep you guys updated here every single step of the way with the market updates and the premium live streams and the live streams. But have a great weekend. Be safe out there. Don't text and drive. Don't drink and drive. I want to see everybody in here next week. Enjoy your time. Try to maybe forget about the charts. Hopefully we don't have a crazy weekend and you can kind of relax, go touch some grass. The charts will be here when you get back. Thank you for being here. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know, on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up.
Shout out to K Diggity. How did I miss that? Congrats, bro. Hasta pasta. Bing bong.
Here we go. At the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road.